Hey, everybody, we got some pretty exciting news today on our unnamed podcast. Still don't have a name, Chance.
Not yet, but we're working on it.
We are short. Nobody wants to hear this today. You know what they want to hear?
What the Greater 901 plans to do for the election scorecard.
That's right. People want to know what the scorecard is. And I love all the rhetoric on the street that people have seen these grades for weeks and months. I haven't seen them yet.
Well, I can tell you that I think myself and a very select number of people have seen them. And by very select, I mean like vendors who are printing up the scorecards.
Okay, so I'm actually rather curious. I've been traveling, I've been working a little bit, and I selected because I'm involved in some candidate campaigns, not any mayoral races, to stay out of the grading, stay out of all that process, stay out of how you're getting it out. But I am curious. I'm super curious today. So briefly, how did you all? What was the process for grading?
Sure. Some ground rules. One. Because of the intensity and the uniqueness of the mayor's race, both myself and you completely stayed out of grading the mayor's race. There were, and then also because my brother's a candidate up for re-election, I stayed completely out of his race. Didn't look at or participate in any conversation for that. We graded the candidate.
Not as much fun, but still, okay.
Trust me, I hear enough about his race.
Clean process. I bet you do. I bet you do. Clean process. All right.
So we had a group of about 25 graders that came from our executive board and very savvy people within the communities, and made sure that we had diversity across the city and the basically 7 single-member districts that there.
Okay, so who were the graders?
We're not going to release their names. We promised them anonymity so they could be very honest and not feel retribution from both the candidates and friends.
And not get yelled at in the supermarket.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, because people do that. I've been involved in, community activism and campaigns, and
I had a very strong mayoral candidate call me and said, "I heard it," and then I had the exact same campaign for another campaign call me 30 minutes later and did the exact same opposite. So I get the passion. We basically graded on 4 criteria. We did public safety, experience, economic development, and then we did an overall. So
well, the intergovernmental relations, how
yes.
you're going to tie in with the state, and then you average that, right?
Right. Those 4, and then they give you your overall.
Yeah. So I should point out that these are the categories that the Greater 901 thinks are important.
Correct.
Voters can have other categories that we didn't rank on.
Sure. Look, I've said this before. I think every voter gets to be their own judge and jury. That's a great thing about democracy. What we're trying to say is, hey, for the 80% of Memphians that agree on the same things that we feel like we're aligned with, what's going to matter the most for the next mayor and the next council? The other thing I'll say about the city council, there'll be 13 members, right? 2 are unopposed, so there's basically 11 seats up. Our graders specifically looked at making sure that if you had a council that was going to be fighting the next administration, no matter who it was, it didn't really score very high. But if it was someone that was aligned with basically what every mayoral candidate's also saying on public safety, crime, economic development, et cetera, they tended to do a little bit better. And when we get to that, it's the difference of do we want a council that's going to be antagonistic to the next administration, or do we want one that's going to be a little bit more, hey, Memphis, we got to do this together?
Wow, that's probably why you didn't want me to grade anything, because I like a little gruffness in between governmental bodies. I don't ever like governmental bodies to be in complete agreement. That's what checks and balances are for.
Well, no one said complete agreement, and I always like diverse opinions, and we have a lot of diverse grades in this. But I think when we find the results, people will say, we get it.
Okay, well, I want to see the results now. Enough of this prep work. Let's see it. So, Bria, can you bring in the results, man? You got it on a silver tray. That's adorable. All right, I will take my copy right here, and Chance will take his.
Which one should she give you?
Well, I don't know. She probably gave me the wrong copy. Yeah. She does that.
Hey, thank you, Bria.
Oh, wait, and Jackson here has it on the screen. He told me to transition it, so. Our producer, thank you, Mr. Producer, for putting this on the screen. So I'm gonna click over and share it with people, and I see. Okay, so you have the city council races, and look, I've got it right. I've got it right here. This is the mailer. This is it, and it looks like a big. Just so you know what you're going to be getting in the mail or whatnot. it's like this, and it opens up, and you've got all the races. And look, I'm so sloppy. Let me just click the screen and show it. Okay. So you've got the Memphis City Election Voter Guide, our scorecard, and it's presented by the Greater 901. And so let me.
And as you say that, who paid for this, and what candidate?
No candidates.
No candidate. So you could not buy your way onto this.
No money from anyone running for office, anyone affiliated with the campaigns running for office.
So I'm going to see a dozen of these things out in the world, and people pay to pay.
It is interesting. These ballots, and yes, we're still teasing everyone here on the grades because I still don't have the grades up yet. I love knowing information 2 minutes before everyone else. So it is interesting. In Memphis and in a lot of cities, there are certainly you have a Republican ballot, a Democratic ballot, maybe the Green Party, Libertarian ballot, things like that. Mm-hmm. But in Memphis, we have this little hook or crook thing going on where people run their own ballot. So you have a Ricky Peak ballot. You could have a Harrington ballot. You could have the Fords that put out a ballot. The Grant brothers put out a Democratic club ballot that I got accused of putting together, but I'm not them, right? We'd hand them out if they helped our candidates for sure. But you had to pay money to be on a ballot and to get it sent out. So I think that people need to be cautious about which ballots candidates are just giving money to get on highest bidder versus, the firefighters and the MPD, which you cannot pay to get on that. You can't pay to be on the Memphis area realtors. You can't pay to be on the home builders. You can't pay to be on, ours. You can't. So a lot of them you can't pay, but I think people are going to have to really pay attention to which ones candidates gave money to be on versus which ones are truly independent.
Well, I can tell you that this was truly independent, and I have a lot of gratitude to the 2025 graders who spent, countless hours. Every candidate filled out a candidate questionnaire, and if you're interested in looking at what candidates said and responded to us, you can go to thegreater901.com, click on the scorecard, hit the candidate questionnaires, and we will have all of the candidates' responses for every race who submitted one.
The unedited raw data.
Verbatim.
Okay, great.
What they said. And then, all right, let's get into it.
Okay, so early voting, September 15th through the 30th, Election Day, October 5th. All right, let's go here. I'm going to scroll right on up. Oh, and there's the code if you want to do this. So here's the mayor's races. And, boy, this font's a little small for a little bri-bri. I'm getting older. Just have to stretch it away. So,
Can you blow that up? I can barely see that.
Who is the top? Well, if I do, then you can't see all the scores at once.
Okay.
I don't know. People are going to get it. You could go to the website and do whatever you want
the top overall grade went to Sheriff Floyd Bonner with an A-. What separated him was both local state legislature experience. He got an A there, which was a rare A. And then past performance experience, which being the two-time elected sheriff and 25 years in law enforcement, got an A-.
So walk me through Floyd real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Floyd got an A-. I see Paul Young as a B+. So pretty close.
Very close.
Pretty close. Wait. Doc Harrington, the king, a B+.
Yep. And Paul, what's fascinating about how these were graded was public safety, Sheriff Bonner, B+. Willie Harrington, public safety, A-. People actually, I think, graded Willie based off of what he had done in the past versus what is currently being done in the county. Fair or not, it was an interesting difference.
It makes sorry, I got to chime in here, right? Is when Doc Harrington was mayor, and some of the things he said on the campaign trail are very aggressive, very strong, talking about a fighter. Memphians love a fighter. I can kind of see that grade being pumped up because he's pretty aggressive. Now, Floyd Bonner, though, I'm kind of curious, is the top law enforcement officer. How come he didn't grade a little better, in your opinion?
I think it's the status of what crime is today. I think people are giving him the benefit of the doubt that he could come in, but there was an equal number of people in the group that's like, wait a second, how does this guy get an A- if we're in this situation today? Where has he been versus where is he going to take us? It was interesting, but there's no arguing his experience. And then, if you look at Paul at a B+, past performance experience, like, again, not having that necessarily elected executive experience that Harrington has or the sheriff has, he got a B+.
Oh,
and so, people didn't wait a lot of being president of the Downtown Memphis Commission or being a head of housing. I mean, Paul has a 25-year track record as well, but he's never held elected office. And people want to know, candidly, and felt like, if you change that grade to an A, it's A minus, A minus, A minus, right? So it didn't take a whole lot to separate those three, and I also think that's why they're so close in the polls too.
Well, that would make sense. So Van, if I look on this, Van who's been playing in third or fourth for a few months, he got a C plus. That is a grade letter difference than the top people, and I do see economic development D plus. That I guess some graders are harder than others. I think experience. I agree with that. Van's got a lot of experience, so there's no getting around that.
Right, but take again. Just take like local and state legislature difference. Karen Camper, clearly an A. Van, a D plus.
Wait a minute. I got to see what Karen Camper got because
overall grade was a B. Local legislative expenditure an A. And I point that out because Van's platform of let's just go sue everyone. Let's get the Department of Justice in here. Let's sue the state. And everyone knows that we need more cooperation between Memphis and Nashville and the state. It just is not what people want.
Yeah, and I would say like let's look at Karen just for a second, okay? Just as a template for this. I have been watching Karen. I've known Karen a long time. I'm a big fan of Karen Camper. I'm a big fan, right? And
you would have graded her differently, I'm sure.
No, I don't know because now I'm thinking about it. I have not seen a really strong baked out public safety plan from her. I've heard public safety is important, but what's the plan? What's the initiatives? What's the action item? Now, she's a military officer too, right? And so I'd be like, if I was in her campaign, I would expect her to really own being a lot more aggressive and assertive about public safety. But if she didn't put the plan out, the graders didn't have anything to grade on. So if they don't have a clear plan with which to grade a person, then you get what you get. And so, and I got to say, it's the candidate's fault and their campaign's fault. First off, maybe they don't care about these categories.
Maybe not. But
Maybe not.
And they'll completely vote differently. But I'll go back to Doc Harrington. Doc's lowest grade was a C plus local and state ledge. When your nickname at mayor was King Willie and you're a one-man show, no one really thought at 83 that Mayor Harrington was going to be traveling to Nashville. I mean, I think Mayor Strickland in the past year went to Nashville over 2.5 dozen times, over 30 trips.
So right here, we've got this. Doc Harrington's lowest grade is in local and state legislature. And I was on the election commission when he was mayor, and one of his famous lines was, if you don't like it here, get out, or something like that. And so that doesn't show a high degree of working with state and federal officials, which is something we really need. And I think, can you explain why that category is so important?
We all know Memphis has a crime issue. We all know that we have to grow the pie and we need to invest more in a whole litany of areas. That does not happen if we are the whipping boy of the state. And really, I give Mayor Strickland a ton of credit. We're $350 million from the state coming for the sports stadiums. What if we got $350 million for a summer reading program, or to hire more teachers, or to build juvenile detention facilities, or to fight crime? I think there's $100 million allocated in crime prevention, and if Shelby County got $25 million of that, that's about a third of our budget of what police and fire discretionary could spend. All of that money is either going to come from the state or it's going to come from property tax increases, which we cannot afford.
And if we don't have a good relationship with him,
we ain't getting anything.
Right. And so Governor Haslam, you reminded me of something. He used to say, I love Memphis and Shelby County. I don't ever have to give them anything because I never know what they want.
Right.
We don't ever ask consistent. We don't have a consistent message. I mean, he was being in jest a little bit. His wife was from here, tried to be very supportive of Memphis, but we're not organized. We don't always go play nice. And so I think Mayor Strickland has done a affable job, a great job on trying to recover that relationship. The next mayor needs to continue it.
I'll put it this way. If we do not have a great local relationship with the suburban mayors, the Shelby County government, and the state government, what anyone put down on public safety or economic development ain't going to happen. It's a segue. So I think it's weighted only the same at a quarter, but the believability of those things, and I think that's how the grades came out. I think a lot of people think Sheriff Bonner is going to do his best, and look how well he's worked across the Shelby County Commission, Mayor Harris, et cetera, and that's just the difference. Paul Young, everyone thinks Paul Young will invest the time to make sure that we get the resources.
Well, and to that point, he has an A.
Right.
In that. He has an A in working with the state.
And so it makes the other two, public safety and economic development, plausible.
Yeah, and I got to say, a B for Paul Young on public safety. He doesn't really have a long track record of fighting crime and being in that space, and has never been in an elected position. So I get it.
And look, I think people looked at the state of downtown and said, hey, that hasn't gotten necessarily better. How much is that, Paul? How much is it not? It's not really fair. But again, it's kind of just weighs on that public safety piece.
Well, okay, so everyone, as a reminder, can
by the way, just as a real reminder, Brian didn't grade any of these. I didn't grade any of these. This is just our opinion of what the focus group basically came out and told us.
What I'd like to do is maybe later this week or next week, I got to go through these grades and I got to figure out, like, I love arguing and disagreeing with somebody's hard work, and they've done a great job. But I can kind of picture the grades as long as, but I got to check one thing. I remember the Coalition for Better Memphis. Do you remember that? It was 15 years ago. No. So it was a group of people, great people, try to get together, do a scorecard like we have, a grading system, A+. But I don't think they were always real fair in their grading system, because I remember when Harrington was on it, he got ranked as like a D or something for experience. That just means they didn't like him, because clearly Mayor Harrington has the most experience. So I do want to.
I will say that was the one thing that we basically went back. I mean, Mayor Harrington got an A+ in experience. No one had.
Oh,
more
he does.
Experience.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so that's my test gauge. If Harrington got a lower experience than other people, the whole thing's a farce to me. Okay, so let's jump into.
Let's just read out the top vote getters for the rest of the council.
Okay, let's do it. So I'm going to transition. I'm going to pull the grades up. I'm going to.
I don't. Do we need to show the whole grades for everything, or just they can go get it on our website? We can just read it out.
Oh, you want them to go to the website?
Yeah, I do.
You can go to grader901.com and read the results and the raw data for yourself. I should have been on radio, right? Terrible squeaky voice.
Certainly have the face for radio. Oh, okay. All right.
All right, let's see it.
Council District 8, Position 2. It's a 3-person race.
I just want to clarify. Everyone that's going to vote will vote for one mayor and 4 council people.
That's right.
One mayor, 3 in your grader, either 8 or 9, and then your single member. Okay, so this is one of the graders.
Janika White had the highest overall grade with a B. City Council District 8, Position 3, which is a 7-person race. Berlin Boyd with a B+. I got to tell you, I was surprised by that. I would have given a lot more personally to Brian and Brian Harris, but Berlin squeaked by.
Well, Brian Harris and Jared Price are right beside him.
They are very close, and you can see their scores if you go to our website.
Yeah, it's very similar. And then everyone else in that race seems to be dropping down a little bit.
City Council District 9, Position 1, which is my brother's race, Chase Carlisle, had the highest overall grade, an A-, and yes, Brian and I stayed out of that. City Council District 9, Position 2, between Ford Canale and Brandon Washington. Ford had the highest grade, an A-.
Now, I would say this. Brandon's the young guy that's running.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that Brandon doesn't see this and it doesn't discourage him from future races. I think that everyone I just remember, quick sidebar, when I was on the election commission, we had a young guy that wanted to run, and he didn't get enough signatures to run, and I voted to let him go and run anyway, and I got voted down. I think I was the only 1 to 4 vote ever on the election commission. I just think that people should have a right to participate in elections. Yep. So good for him for getting in the game.
City Council District 1, Rhonda Logan is the incumbent. I think Rhonda is terrific on a lot of issues. She also got an A-. So there's 3 right there that are incumbents running for re-election, Chase, Ford, and Rhonda, all with A-.
Yeah, and I don't really know Rhonda that well, but that makes sense to me. Mm-hmm. I mean, she's down there working.
And she's great for her district. And you've got to put the race in the context of the people running and the district they're representing and what that district is also wanting to get. Yeah, right. I think one of the most competitive races that we have in the entire field is City Council District 2.
I see a tie.
It is a tie. And this is going to be super interesting. I think this one's probably, no matter what, going to a runoff, and a tie kind of makes some sense here. But Marvin White, B+, and Scott McCormick, a former 2-term city council, 3-term city council.
He was on the council for a few terms. He left to go run the Plow Foundation, and then he went on the school board for a while. He had an unsuccessful bid, I think, for state rep or state senator. I can't recall. Marvin, African American. I think he works at FedEx. Will Frazier got a grade just underneath them, and Jerry Green. I think Jerry Green is being endorsed by Harris.
Works in Mayor Harris's administration.
That's right.
But and she's running a great campaign too. B pluses and Bs across the board for them.
Okay.
City Council District 3, a lot lower grades in Jess, but Miss Pearl Walker got the highest grade with the B.
Well, there's just no ties there.
Right.
But Pearl got a B. Pearl Walker got a B in District 3, and so that's a comparable to the top grades in 2 and what. But yeah,
the highest vote getter in City Council District 4 is Miss Jana Swearingen Washington. Council District 5.
Hold on. District 4 is almost a tie too.
Yeah,
because Terry Doherty. I know you one of the top vote getters, but I'm just looking at this. I'm so curious. A B plus and a B minus. I think that's going to be a tight race too.
Okay.
So I don't know. City
Council District 5, where the most money in any single member district will be spent, I think probably over $500,000, maybe $600,000. Philip Spinoza, A minus, is also endorsed by Police and Fire and a bunch of other associations. I think.
Let me ask you this: for the people, we have a public safety category. Did the endorsements get factored into the grades, or the endorsements come out afterwards?
The endorsements were factored in.
Okay, so if they got the police and fire endorsement, they got a.
If the endorsement occurred prior to our grading, it was factored in.
Okay.
And our grading was about 2.5 weeks ago. And then we had about we had to give people 7-8 days.
So some of the endorsements are out, and some of them weren't. Okay.
Yeah, just so people know on timing, as soon as the qualifying petition was done, about 2 weeks after that, we gave every candidate a questionnaire that was on the ballot. So, for example, it was a week until it was final, about the following week, and then they had 2 weeks to respond, and then we graded.
Okay. So let's talk about 6 and 7.
Okay, go to the back page here. All right, or the front page. City Council District 6, Councilman Ford Sr., who is another one who, past experience, A+, has an A minus.
Ed Ford Sr., he got a lot of experience. He should have an A+++ for experience. He's been down there. He's in the Jack Salmon's camp. I mean, those guys they've been getting it done.
And Ford Sr.'s a no mess around public safety guy too. If you didn't know.
Okay, what about 7?
7. Okay, so you have incumbent Michaeline Easter Thomas, who is the incumbent that has the most challengers in the race.
I see J.P. Parks got a B and Larry Springfield got a B.
And then, Edward Douglas, who was endorsed by the Republican Party, got, one of the lowest grades. And he's the Republican Party candidate. So this also didn't break down on, political party lines, obviously.
I hope not.
And then the incumbent Michaeline got a C.
So let's kind of we've hit the scorecard. People can go to grader901.com and review it and read the full responses, and I would say you should read that information. You should dig in, and this is these voters' opinions, but I do think that the categories make sense to me, and I hope people go vote.
Yeah, and Brian, just to wrap it up, a quick summary. I'm just going to read them all off one time.
And I would say 2 races with incumbents: J.B. Smiley and Jeff Warren. No competition, so they're not on here. I noticed,
and I promise you, they both would have gotten probably somewhere around an A minus to B plus B. Given where they are, they
both done well, and they got really lucky not to have a competitor.
Well, that's why they don't have a competitor.
Yeah. Okay. So go and give us the wrap up, boss.
All right. Sheriff Bonner in the mayoral race at an A minus. Council District 8, position 2, was Janika White with a B. Council District 8, position 3, Berlin Boyd with a B plus. Council District 9, position 1, Chase Carlisle with an A minus. Council District 9, position 2, Fort Canale with an A minus. District 1, Rhonda Logan with an A minus. District 2 was a tie between Scott McCormick and Marvin White with B pluses. Council District 3 was Pearl Walker. Council District 4 was Jen Swearingen Washington with the B+. Council District 5 was Philip Spinoza with an A-. Council District 6 was Ford Sr. with an A-. And Council District 7 was a tie with J.P. Parks and Larry Springfield at a B.
Right. So what I'm hoping everyone will do was share all this information to your heart's delight, put your own twist on it, if you will. Let people know that there is an election and go and vote. Now, I guess we're gonna talk more about these mayoral candidates in the next couple of weeks.
Well, we're going to do the mayoral candidates. And, hey, look, I've got great news. We're going to try to sit down with as many of these candidates that want to come in and talk and explain their platform and why they think they got the grade they got.
Well, fantastic. And I hope people enjoy the voter guide, and I hope it helps them make an informed decision this year. Right?
Wonderful.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for watching, and we'll see you next time on the Unnamed Podcast for now. Appreciate it. Thanks.